Okay, so we're diving deep today into some pretty heavy stuff. The assassinations of JFK, RFK, and MLK.
Yeah, some really impactful moments in American history, and we've got some newly declassified files to dig through.
We do. It seems like every few years another batch of these files comes out and the public just eats it up.
Yeah, there's always this fascination with finding something new, some hidden truth.
Right, exactly. And these assassinations, they're shrouded in so much mystery, so much speculation. It's understandable why people are so captivated by them.
Absolutely. And we're not just talking about history buffs here. I mean, these events, they really shook the nation. They continue to resonate with us today.
They do. And what's interesting is we actually have some listeners who sent us a CBS article about President Trump's 2017 executive order to release more of these files.
Oh yeah, that was a big deal. I remember when that happened.
Yeah, it was. And the article really captures that kind of that public excitement, but also the skepticism that surrounded the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, because people were wondering, would these files finally reveal the truth, or would they just lead to more questions?
Exactly. And that's kind of what we're going to try to unpack today, right? What
Ah.
what did these files actually tell us and what questions did they raise?
Right. So to understand all of this, we need to understand how the government classifies information.
Oh yeah, that's a good point because it's not like anyone can just walk in and read these files, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, there's a whole system in place, a whole hierarchy of classification levels, like, confidential, secret, and then you've got the big one, top secret.
It's like something out of a spy movie.
Kind of, yeah. But it's serious business. It's all about protecting sensitive information that could compromise national security or ongoing investigations or even, international relations.
So these files, they were locked away for years because they were deemed too sensitive to release.
Exactly. And that's why there's been so much, speculation and conspiracy theories swirling around them because people have been trying to fill in the gaps.
Right, so let's jump into the JFK files first. What kind of stuff did we learn from those?
Well, there were a lot of interesting documents in there. One that stands out to me is a memo from J. Edgar Hoover.
The FBI director.
Yeah, him. And in this memo, he's actually expressing concern about potential conspiracy theories popping up after the assassination.
Wow, so he was kind of anticipating this whole thing.
He was. It's like he knew that people wouldn't just accept the official narrative.
It's amazing to see that kind of foresight.
It really is. And there were other documents in the JFK files that provided some new details about Lee Harvey Oswald's background, his travels to Mexico, his alleged connections to communist groups.
So did any of this new information challenge the official conclusion that Oswald acted alone?
It's tough to say. I mean, the files didn't necessarily overturn the Warren Commission's findings, but they definitely provided some more pieces to the puzzle.
So more questions than answers.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah, but
But that's kind of the nature of these things, right?
right. Okay, so what about the RFK files? What did those reveal?
Well, one document that really stood out to me was a report detailing a tip that the FBI received about a potential threat against Robert Kennedy in the days leading up to his assassination.
Oh, wow. That's chilling.
It is.
Yeah.
And the question that this raises is whether this tip was thoroughly investigated at the time.
Right, because if it wasn't, that's pretty significant.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that historians are still debating, trying to piece together what the FBI knew and when they knew it.
And then, of course, we have the MLK assassination. Were there any bombshells in those files?
There were some very interesting details in there, for sure. One document that's been the subject of much debate is a report about an alleged confession from a man claiming to have been involved in a conspiracy to kill Dr. King.
A confession. Wow.
Yeah, but the authenticity of this confession is highly contested. Some experts believe it's credible, while others dismiss it as a fabrication.
So again, more questions.
Right, and that's something that we see across all of these files. It's like every time we get some new information, it just seems to generate more questions.
And it's not like we got all the information right. I mean, some of the files remained classified.
That's right. The government argued that releasing certain documents would jeopardize national security, so those remained under wraps.
Of course, just adds to the mystery of the whole thing.
Of course. I mean,
Yeah.
people are naturally going to wonder what's still being hidden, what secrets those classified files might contain.
So, we've gone through all these files, we've seen the new information, we've talked about the questions that they raise, but why are we still so captivated by these assassinations all these years later?
That's a really good question. I think it's because these events were so traumatic, so pivotal in American history. They represent these moments of profound loss and uncertainty.
And they really force us to confront the dark side of our own history, right?
They do. They force us to grapple with the complexities of power, violence, and justice, and that's why these events continue to fascinate us and haunt us in a way.
Because they're not just events of the past. They're still relevant today.
Absolutely. They speak to these enduring questions about truth, accountability, the role of government, and ultimately I think they remind us of the fragility of democracy.
It's like we're trying to understand not just what happened, but what it means for us today.
Exactly. And I think that's a search that will probably continue for generations to come.
And even though these files have provided some new insights, there's still so much that we don't know.
There is, and that's part of what keeps us coming back to these stories,
Yeah.
right? The mystery, the unanswered questions.
It makes you wonder what else might be hidden in those classified files. What
Mhm.
other pieces of the puzzle are still out there?
Well, and that's the thing. We may never know the full truth, but I think the process of searching for it, of examining the evidence and engaging in these conversations, that's what's important.
It's about keeping the conversation alive.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe someday those remaining files will be declassified and it'll get even closer to the truth.
Until then, I guess we'll just have to keep digging and keep asking questions.
That's what it's all about.
Well, on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive for today, but we want to thank all of you for listening and for sending in those articles.
Yeah, it's always great to hear from you and to explore these topics together.
And remember, history is never truly settled. It's a constantly evolving narrative. And it's up to all of us to keep questioning, keep learning, and keep seeking the truth.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See you then.